Hey guys, Brickman117, welcome back to the channel, part 3 of my MEGA Transformed series, the series where I take stock sets produced by MEGA and combine them with the Battle for the Ark buildable Master Chief set to create custom Transformer style mechs. In part 1 I combined the parts from the Warthog Rally set with the Battle for the Ark Chief to create the Hog Chief. In part 2 I combined a Covenant Wraith Ambush set with a buildable Battle for the Ark Chief to create the Wraith Elite. And for part 3 I combined the Forge Hog versus Banished Goliath Hog with the Battle for the Ark Master Chief to create the Frost Chief. For parts 1 and 2 I created full build tutorial style videos so those that wanted to could build their own. For the Frost Chief I've yet to create a build video, but I do intend to do so as soon as I get a chance. And for those that are wondering, there are no other parts used aside from the parts found in those specific sets listed for each build. What I'm going to do in this video is talk a little bit about each individual build, starting with the ChiefHog. And if you want to build the ChiefHog, you'll need one of these and one of these. As I mentioned earlier, the ChiefHog was my first attempt at creating one of these mechs. And given how iconic both the Master Chief and the Warthog are in the Halo universe, it seemed like the logical choice to combine to produce, well, this. It also turned out to be the easiest of the 3 builds to create, so anyone that is looking to create these builds, it's definitely a good starting point because it is by far the more simple conversion of the 3. If we get hands on with it, you can see that I've tried to maintain as many of the features of the original Warthog as I can, like the whole bonnet and screen area for the chest piece on the actual mech. I've also kept the main gun off the back of the Warthog. This is the actual gun that you get with the build for the Battle of the Ark Chief standard set. As you can see on the side of the legs, I've kept the sides of the Warthog with the side steps there, and then obviously you've got the wheels. You've got some of the wheels back here with the suspension arms still intact, and again on the shoulders we've got more wheels. I've also incorporated the gas cans on the back there, or the water cans, as on the back of the original Warthog, and I've even put the winch rope on the back there as well, and then I've put more of the suspension arms here to almost simulate rib cage effect. And then as we get more to the top, you can see we've got the roll bar section of the Warthog, giving him extra shoulder protection. And then we've also got the seats in the back there as well from the cabin. And you've also got the steering wheel and the display there. So I've tried to incorporate as many of the features of the Warthog into the build where they kind of should be. So I didn't want the seats down on his feet or anything like that. I wanted wheels top and bottom and various other parts just where you'd expect them to kind of transform into. I did get a bit of flack because it doesn't actually transform. I get that, but that would just be, it'd probably be impossible given the pieces. I was trying to limit myself to only using parts that you actually find in the set to make it easier for those that wanted to build one for themselves. They could just buy these 2 sets and you're guaranteed to be able to make this. So it just seemed like it was the right way to go so more people could join in. As you can see, this is the stand that comes with the Battle of the Ark Chief and the Marine that comes with the Warthog Rally set. So there we go, that's the Hog Chief. To create the Wraith Elite, you're going to need one of these and one of these. Now this by far was the most challenging of the 3 mechs to create, hands down, if not 2-3 times more challenging than the other 2 builds, mainly so because of the unusual limb shape of the Elite. Not to mention you don't have a custom built head to make it look really good, so I had to try and come up with a way to make it look like an Elite's head without an Elite's head, which is pretty challenging. Now I've had criticism on this one as well, the fact that the limbs are disproportionate, the arms aren't long enough and so on, but again this was mainly because of the fact I was limiting myself to only using the parts from the Wraith Ambush and the buildable Master Chief. If I dived into my parts bins, I'm sure I could have done a better job, but again the main reason I wanted to limit myself to these sets was so you guys could join in at home. You'd only need these 2 sets to create one of your own if you so wished. But in all honesty, sometimes the greater the challenge, the greater the reward. And this one was incredibly satisfied to eventually get finished. As we go hands-on, you can see these are the two figures that come with the Wraith Ambush set, which just come in handy when you display the actual mech on the stand to show you the scale of the mech. So we just push that off to the side. In regards to the actual Elite itself, every single part of this build was a challenge. First of all, the legs, trying to get the legs the right shape, the way Elite legs work, was challenging, and obviously with the parts limitation it made it even more challenging, but they are completely posable, the legs, so it's very easy to pose the mech in different positions. In regards to the actual design itself, I tried to make the feet look like the side pods that come with the Wraith. Unfortunately, I don't have a complete Wraith available at the moment to show you alongside like I did with the Hog, but you did see it on the box, and a lot of people have this set anyway, so they know what I'm talking about. These are the two bits that jut out the side. I put some of the boosters on the back, I put some of the spare shots or rounds on the back of the heels there, just to add detail. These small parts here are the bits that come off the side of the actual gun on the back of the Wraith. And then I was particularly pleased with the thigh armor. This was a real challenge. I scratched my head for ages to try and figure out how to come up with this design to be able to incorporate the ball joint in there whilst being hidden and having the armor look like it comes down over the front of the knee section. So it was a challenge, but very rewarding once I'd finished it. As you can see, I've got detail on the inside there as well. So the legs were a major pain, big challenge, but very rewarding. As we come higher up the body, you can see he's got full waist articulation, and then these bits worked out really well for the chest armor, so I was particularly pleased with how well that worked out. He's also got his armor comes around the side to join the armor at the back. He's got his purple pants like all Elites do. On the back we've got the main cannon, which can be deployed similar to the way it is on the Wraith, so you can just open up the side panels like that, and then the cannon can come out and be positioned however you want. You've also got some spare rounds on the back there, a small amount of detailing on the back too, and it can just be packed away again to make it look like he's got a cannon on his back, or maybe just a backpack. I tried to disguise it so it didn't look too odd when it was in the packed away position. In regards to the arms, these parts came in very handy for creating shoulder armor, and again he's got full articulation with the arms, as you can see. On his right arm I put the displays from the cockpit to make it look like it's giving him readouts when he's firing, and obviously he's got the main the smaller gun from the passenger that rides on the Wraith, so he's got that on that arm. This is just normal arm, no detailing here in regards to weapons or anything, but again managed to create the look of armor quite pleasingly with the limited parts. By the time I got to the arms I had very few parts left, so it was tricky to know how to finish those off, but again managed to work out all right in the end. I think the bit I'm most pleased with is the head. I just couldn't figure out how I was going to make a head, but somehow I feel like I managed to recreate a Wraith, an Elite helmet pretty accurately. And because it's a mech, I figured you don't need a face because it's a mech, so it's meant to be like a robot. So I just put one of the blue vent pieces in there to make it look like he could shoot laser beams from his face or something. And again, having these bits, they make it look a bit like the mandibles on an actual Elite, so it reflects the actual look of an Elite. So yeah, that was a part that I was particularly pleased with how it turned out, and in all honesty would make or break the actual end mock. So in regards to effort versus reward, I think this is probably my favourite of the three mechs, and it's mainly because it took so long to figure it out. So again, if you want to build this one, the instructions are on the channel so you can build this one too. And finally, to create the Frost Chief, you're going to need one of these and one of these. Now, whilst this was nowhere near as challenging to create as the Wraith Elite, it was far more challenging than the ChiefHog. And although at first glance it may look very similar to the ChiefHog build, it is very different. It's a much more involved build with many additional features that caused headaches to incorporate. As we go hands-on with the Frost Chief, as you can see, it comes with Sergeant Forge and a generic Marine to be placed on the display stand. And it also comes with the Goliath if you've got this set. And if you want to know what that looks like, it looks like that, which kind of looks like the mech's taking its weird spiky dog for a walk. So yeah, that's quite fun too. We'll just move that back out the way. When it comes to the mech itself, this was a real fun one to put together. The only real frustration actually came from the white parts. Too much white in the wrong place really ruined the look of this mech, but not enough white made it not so obvious that it was the ChiefHog that I was creating it out of or transforming it from. So some bits will be similar to what the ChiefHog looked like the chest plate, for example. I kept that relatively the same with the addition of these green pieces here just to make it look like his chest armor wraps around the side of his chest. My main goal with this one was I wanted to beef him up. I wanted him to look more tank, more armored looking than the actual ChiefHog. The ChiefHog is kind of nimble, more like the Master Chief himself. This one I wanted to look more like a Flame Marine, so he was really beefed up and armoured up, just like the Forge Hog is itself. So if we start down the bottom by the legs, as you can see, I put the spikes from the bull bar or the ramming bar on the front of the Forge Hog, which gave a nice aggressive look to his shins. We've got the wheels on the back again, but this one's got a completely different suspension setup. So as you can see, it's got this kind of suspension setup rather than the individual link arms. As we go up, put some more detail on here with some of these bits from, these are the parts that allow the Frost Raven to pick the Frost Hog up. In terms of thighs, we've still got the same pieces that you get on the side of the Frost Hog, and again I don't have another Forge Hog or Frost Hog built at the moment, so I can't show you the comparison, but again you've seen it on the box. So that's all pretty similar to the ChiefHog, but it's as we go further up it really starts to differ. So I really beefed up his forearms, as you can see, and I put the roll bars down on his forearms instead of his shoulders. Two reasons: you can see I've done something different with his shoulders, but also I thought these would make nice weapons on his forearms, almost like having blades on his forearms for when he's doing hand-to-hand combat. The shoulders, I was really pleased with this. I really wanted to incorporate these armoured doors from the Forge Hog into the build, and they basically make him look like he's got reinforced armoured shoulder pads, as you can see if I show you from the top. The best bit about it is the way they're hinged. If you want to move the arms up and down, the doors just move out the way. It just works effortlessly. You do have to push them back down, but they go up nicely. If you want to see underneath there, you can see the shoulders are still detailed, different to the ChiefHog shoulders again, and that's mainly to incorporate the different style of wheels. Again, they've got a different type of fitting for these wheels, so these ones are a bit more fixed to his shoulder than the other ones are. Around the back, we've got the fuel cans again. This section here is very different to the ChiefHog, and the reason is because I built it up higher again to make him look more tank-like, but also to incorporate this section here. This is part of the gun that is on the back of the actual Forge Hog, and as you can see it can move and so on. I put the aerial up there, and I wanted that to be some kind of laser finder, some kind of tracking system that he can use, and obviously it can control. If I just raise the camera up, it can control the drone that comes with the Forge Hog. So I thought that's a really nice little add-on that can just buzz away from him and come back and land back on his shoulder when not being used. Again, I've got the seats incorporated into the back there, and one of the bits I was particularly pleased with was this bull bar that goes across the bonnet. On the actual set it's down here hanging off the front of the actual bonnet section, but up here I wanted it to give him additional armor or additional bracing, so if somebody tries to drop a sword down on his head, it's going to hit that bar, so he's got ultimate protection. And now finally the bit I'm sure you're all looking at, his beefy frost cannon. I absolutely loved putting this together. As you can see, it's got hoses. These are the hoses which were part of the suspension for the Hog, so I just used them to look like they're fueling it from this canister all the way back here, comes around here, across his forearm, which has got some rams and so on it, and it goes into this canister here, and then as you can see it's just one big gun. And obviously it fires as well because it's got the projectile launcher on the top, so it can shoot those projectiles out, and you've got the spare up there as well, so you can reload it. So yeah, I was particularly pleased with that gun. I didn't want to just use the same gun that came with the Battle for the Ark set because I wanted to do something different, and yeah, I think I accomplished that. So I do really like this one. It's definitely a different build to the ChiefHog, and hopefully it won't take me too long to create a set of instructions for this. But when I do create these instructions, it won't be released on this channel. It will be released on my alternative channel, my other channel that I set up, which is Mega Builds. I set that channel up for releasing instruction videos and tutorial videos. I also set it up for when I want to do something different. If I want to build one of the other lines from Mega, i.e. Hot Wheels or Game of Thrones or something like that. It was somewhere where I could release more diverse stuff without it affecting all the Halo fans on this channel. So feel free to let me know which is your favourite Mega Transformed in the comments section below, and hopefully before too long I'll be bringing you more Mega Transformed.